n8n has become one of the best platforms for building AI-powered solutions, and it's used by automation agencies all over the globe. While learning n8n, you might be running a local instance on your own machine. But once you move on to building workflows for clients or production use, you need to move n8n to the cloud. And unfortunately, this can be quite expensive. If I switch over to the pricing tab, the monthly fee is about 24 euros a month. And this comes with limited workflows, so up to 5 workflows, and 2,500 workflow executions. If you need more workflows than this, and if you are building this for clients, then you'll have to move up to something like the Pro tier, which is 60 euros a month. So in this video, I'll show you how to self-host n8n for only $7 a month, and this gives you access to unlimited workflows and unlimited executions. I've partnered with HostingGear for this video to give my audience an additional 10% off this price. So for a limited time, you can get a discount by using the link in the description of this video or using the code LEON at checkout. To get started, I'll link to this page in the description of this video. Then all you have to do is scroll down and select one of these plans. I personally prefer KMV2, and that is because with this plan you get 2 CPUs, 8 GB of RAM, and 100 GB of NVMe disk space. Now, this is actually a big deal. If you ever try deploying n8n to services like Railway or Render, you might run into issues like this, where the deployments fail. And this can be really frustrating to solve. And effectively what's happening here is these deployments are failing because during the build phase, it's running out of memory. If we have a look at the packages offered by Render, and this is very similar on Railway by the way, the starter package, which is $7 a month, only includes 512 MB of RAM and half a CPU core. Comparing that to HostingGear, which gives you 8 GB of RAM and 2 CPU cores. Not to mention, these plans do not include any disk space at all. If you want persistent storage, you have to add a disk to this instance, and these come at an additional cost as well, over and above the $7. And once you upgrade to the larger plans, you're now paying $25 a month, which gives you 2 GB of RAM and 1 CPU, no storage space, and even on this plan, my deployments fail from time to time as well. And because I need guaranteed uptime of the service, I've decided to switch over to HostingGear. So let's have a look at setting this up. I'm going to select the KVM2 plan, so let's select Choose Plan. And from here, you can change the period if you want, so you could do 1 month, but personally, I'm going to switch over to 24 months, as I think this discount is actually a steal. Then let's select our server location. I'll select North America. Of course, you can select a region that's closest to your clients. And for now, we won't select anything under operating system. And to get an additional discount, click on Have a Coupon Code and enter the code LEON. If you apply this, you'll get an additional 10% off. Then click on Continue, and then simply go ahead and complete the payment process. Right, when you log into your dashboard, you'll see under your to-dos that we need to complete the KMV2 setup process. So let's click on Setup, and let's click on Start Now. Select a location close to where your clients typically are. I'm actually going to select North America. Let's click on Continue. From this screen, we can select our operating system, or to make things even easier, we can go to Application and select one of these templates. Of course, we want to set up an n8n server, so let's select n8n. This is simply saying it will set up an Ubuntu server for us, and we get this description of this template. Let's click on Select, and on this screen it's asking us if we want to install any additional features, like this malware scanner, and it is free, so I'll simply have it ticked. Let's click on Continue. Then let's set a root password. And be sure to store this password in a safe place, as this will give you access to your server. Here we can also note down our server name, and optionally we can generate an SSH key. We won't bother with that in this video. Let's simply click on Continue. On this page it will summarize all of our settings. Let's simply click on Finish Setup, and HostingGear is now setting up our server for us. While this is running, I just want to point out that I will leave a link in the description of this video to this article. This page gives additional information on how to access and update your n8n instance on HostingGear. So this shows you how to access n8n, but most importantly, it also tells you how to update your n8n instance as well. which I will show you how to do in this tutorial as well. And that's it. Our server has now been created. And if we want, we can also assign a custom domain to our n8n instance as well. To manage our VPS, click on Manage VPS. And here you'll find an overview and all the settings related to your server. And here we can see our server is indeed up and running. We can now access n8n by simply copying the name of our server. So it's everything over here. And in the browser, enter n8n dot your server name. And you should now be greeted with this login form. So I'm going to go ahead and enter all of my details and click on Next. Now we can tell n8n a little bit about ourselves. I'll simply leave all of this on default and click on Get Started. If you get this pop-up, then I highly recommend entering your email address and clicking on Send me a free license key. This will unlock all sorts of advanced features in n8n, which you usually had to pay for. So once you receive your license key, go to Settings, go to Usage and Plan, click on Enter Activation Key, paste in your activation key, and click on Activate. And you will now have activated the Community Edition, which gives you access to all sorts of additional features. And we can now start using n8n. Now let's go ahead and create our very first AI assistant. Let's create a new workflow by clicking on Start from Scratch, and let's give it a name like My AI Assistant. I want to interact with my agent using a chat interface, so for the trigger, let's select On Chat Message. When we go back to the canvas, you'll see this Open Chat button, and from here, we can send messages to our workflow. So we can see our message was sent, but of course we didn't receive anything back yet. That is because we haven't assigned an AI model. Let's do that now. Let's add a new node, let's go to the AI menu, and let's add an AI agent node. We can leave all of these defaults as the agent will get our message from the chat trigger node, but what we could also do is add a system message, and let's say you are a helpful assistant called John. Respond in a friendly manner. Cool, let's go back to the canvas, and let's assign a large language model. So under chat models, here we have a wide list of different models that we can use. So let's select Grok Chat Model. Now under Credentials, let's click on this drop-down and create new credential. Now we have to provide a Grok API key. We can get an API key for free by going to grok.com and then sign into your account. From this dashboard, click on Create API Key. So let's copy this key and let's add it to n8n and let's save this. If everything was set up correctly, you'll see this green message and we can now close this pop-up. Now we can select from a range of different models. And for this assistant, I do want to select a slightly more intelligent model. So let's select Llama 3.3 70 billion parameter versatile model. Great, that's all we have to do. Let's go back to our canvas and let's add a memory node so the agent will remember our conversation history. And let's simply add the simple memory node. We can also increase the number of messages to 20. All right, then let's open chat. Let's say hello, and let's expand this. And look at that, we now get a response from our assistant. Now, our assistant isn't very useful at the moment as it doesn't have access to real-time data. So it won't be able to tell us what the latest news is or what the current weather is. We can fix that by adding a tool to this agent. And more specifically, we can add the SERP API tool, which will give Google search access to this agent. Under Credentials, let's click on Create New Credential. And again, we have to provide an API key. Go over to serpapi.com and sign in or register for an account. And yes, this is free to use as well. From your dashboard, copy your API key and add it to n8n. Let's save this. Everything was set up successfully, so let's close this pop-up. Okay, that's all we have to do. So let's try this now. In our chat, let's say, what is the latest weather in New York? And looking at our workflow, we can see the SERP API tool was indeed called. And in a chat, we do get the latest weather. Or let's try something else, like, what is the latest news from OpenAI? And just like that, we converted our agent into a research agent with access to real-time data. Now, one benefit of having n8n running in the cloud is we can now access this agent from anywhere. Watch this. Let's open up the chat message node and let's enable make this chat publicly available. Then copy this URL And then let's activate this workflow. And now we can open a URL in our browser. And this gives us access to our agent, which we can access from anywhere. We can customize this page. So if we go back to our chat message node, we can add authentication. And we can also change this initial message, like, "Hi, my name is John." All right, so let's save this change. Then back in this chat window, if I refresh this, we can now see the message saying, "My name is John." So let's test this out by saying hello, and we do get a response back. What is the current weather in Cape Town? And we get the weather back because we've assigned the tool to this agent. If you want to verify that the tool was called, you can simply go to Executions, and from this Executions page, you can view all the previous executions of this workflow, including the execution that I just ran. And from this view, we can indeed see the SERP API tool was called. In order to update our n8n instance, simply log into Hostinger, and then from your dashboard, click on Manage next to your server. Then in the top right, click on Browser Terminal, and this will open up the terminal in your browser. Don't be afraid though, this is really simple. We'll simply enter 3 commands. First, enter docker compose pull. That will download the latest version of that n8n image. Then we can stop and remove the old image by running docker compose down, and now we can start up the latest image by running docker compose up-d. And that's all we have to do to update our instance of n8n. Again, I want to thank Hostinger for making this video possible. And as a reminder, you can get an additional 10% off if you use the link in the description or my code Leon at checkout. If you like this video, then check out my other n8n content over here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.